Primal Rage is a game series that has been forgotten in the annals of time. It's one of the most edgy games out there that pretty much fit the bill for any other edgy game that was around the mid-90s because of Mortal Kombat's success. Oh yeah, games like Primal Rage were pretty common back then, especially because of Mortal Kombat's peak. You know, the type of games that are like needlessly bloody and have shitty controls, yet somewhat of an interesting style. Yeah, Primal Rage was one of them, despite the cookie-cutter concept. It still had a unique approach, what with its giant monster motif and the fact that the characters were all stop-motion animations, all of them receiving around 400 different frames per character. A lot of hard work was put into these rigs, and it shows as it stood out. Well, I mean, sorta. I mean, everyone else was doing the whole Mortal Kombat thing of like superimposing real-life people into the game, so it didn't look that fucking different, but the animations are still very solid and have a very Harryhausen feel to it. The gameplay was also pretty unique, what with its game involving the use of background audiences as a resource that can be used to throw against the enemy or to eat in order to gain back some health. Also, the controls were something. Unique is definitely a word I'd use, but good? Nah, it was trash. Like steaming pile of hot dog trash. Also, the story was stupid too, set on Earth after a huge meteor came and wiped out almost all of humanity in the Earth's ecosystems. The Earth was then renamed Earth. Fucking stupid. And all of mankind reverted back into the Stone Age, where giant beasts have emerged from the depths from their slumber and are now using humans as fodder for food and worship. Yet not all beasts wish to work together. Some beasts wish to restore the earth, while others just want to destroy it. Cool. So Dr. Stone, but with kaiju. Got it. But despite the flaws of the game, it was still loved and praised. It was a huge commercial success, and development on the sequel was on its way. Yet, reportedly, it didn't get too far, as the sequel itself was cancelled pretty early into the development. Now, the sequel itself was said to have about 6 buttons, just like normal fighters like Street Fighter and such, and they had new characters called avatars. See, the giant meteor that apparently destroyed and murked the earth was apparently a giant egg that hatched a giant demon alien named Necro-San. He imprisoned all of the 7 gods from the previous games, and they were too weak to stop him. The 7 gods then chose human avatars that helped free them from the prison and killed all of Necro-San's minions, and are now attempting to stop Necro-San himself. Cool. So, like JoJo, whatever. The development of the game already started, and even confirmed to be released around September of 1996, yet it was soon halted not that far into production as mentioned earlier. Confusingly enough, the game's developers, Atari, decided not to continue development due to them believing it wouldn't be as successful. And that's strange considering that the first game did remarkably well, so what gives? Well, this is just speculation, but I'm assuming their predictions were probably right. Primal Rage came out in 1994, and like I said, this was around the peak of Mortal Kombat's success. The 3rd game of the franchise hadn't been released yet, but it was around the corner, so it was about the best time to cash in on that sweet gory money while it was still fresh. Conversely, Primal Rage 2 was being developed in 1996, and during this time, some big hitters were being released, such as Soul Blade, Tekken 2, Virtua Fighter 3, Dead or Alive, all these games being wildly popular. But do you notice something similar about these games? Yeah, they're all in 3D. And the latest Primal Rage game was going to stick to the then ancient format of 2D planes. Those games were being left in the dust. The new trend of 3D fighting games were taking over. Even Street Fighter wanted a piece of that action, with Street Fighter EX coming out in, you guessed it, 1996. So, was it really any wonder why Atari was so afraid of releasing Primal Rage 2? It was a scary venture, and it was still going to do the whole stop-motion animated sprite, so it was definitely going to be a lot of hard work done for possibly nothing. So the idea was scrapped, shelved, and never seen or heard from again. There were a few test arcades being shown around the 90s in a few locations, and a rumored complete version of the arcade shown in the California Extreme 2001 show, but nothing concrete ever surfaced. This mythical status of the game circulated around the internet, possibly existing, maybe being out there somewhere as a ROM or as a fully fledged cabinet. Maybe the dev team actually got much farther than we thought, and people just underestimated how much work was put into it. Yet for nearly 20 years, these were just baseless accusations. They were just rumors, myths, and eventually, the search for the missing Primal Rage sequel turned into more of like the search for the Holy Grail. But nobody had any definitive answers. That is, of course, until 2012 when a YouTuber dropped a fucking bomb and showcased never before seen info on Primal Rage 2, including gameplay footage and characters. Then, an arcade found in Brookfield, Illinois, called the Galloping Ghost Arcade, showed their very own video in 2014 of an actual working cabinet of the game. What? So the game exists? Was it complete? Well, no, actually. The versions that were found for Primal Rage 2 were very early beta / prototype versions of the game. According to Doc Mack from the Galloping Ghost, the version they had purchased was version 0.36. Soon after this wealth of info was found, people hit the ground running and tried to emulate the game's board on MAME emulators, yet due to technical reasons it just wasn't able to run on current MAME emulators. So the only way you'd be able to play this then mythical game was to head on over to Galloping Horse Arcades. That is, of course, until 2017 when someone straight up said, "Fuck that shit, I want to play this game at home," and they made their own dedicated MAME emulator called MAME for Rage 2. It is literally an emulator made solely to run the Primal Rage 2 prototype. Jesus Christ, this fan base is way more dedicated than I thought. So now, yes, it is possible to play Primal Rage 2, or rather, what was finished of it. It's pretty buggy here and there, and some assets remain incomplete, but hey, if you're a fan of the first game, then maybe you'll love the sequel, and it's completely available to play for free. It's actually really nice looking, and I'd say it's better than the original. I mean, hopefully it was better. I heard some people were upset that you had to play as human characters, that is the avatars, and that the gods only came out during your supers, but that's fine with me, honestly. Though I will say that the avatars kind of look weird. It's kind of like a weird ghetto celebrity deathmatch knockoff, but that's enough out of me. I'll let you all decide for yourselves whether the game is good or not. Again, it's only part of a game that is not fully released, so don't expect a masterpiece. So go out there with low expectations and judge for yourself.